Elise. Well, there it is. Galio, goodbye. Good riddance.
And it's weird. Maybe you would have hoped that they force KT into a situation where they ban it themselves, but they will just take it away, make sure that nobody gets their hands onto this pick. And I want to see them deny some of the other picks that we saw from KT. The Caitlyn perhaps could be what they fancy as a first pick, even though Maha was and still is an avid Varus player, but the Rumble does get locked away, so taking away the two major pushing solo lanes that help KT ensure those early game invades into the red side jungle that eventually just crack down the game.
Look at that, a Varus ban, as you were talking about. Definitely one of Maha's more played champions. Likes to play Ashe from time to time as well, but definitely options going into the first picking phase.
You play a champion so many times, it's only natural to expect the team to start targeting you out. Even though it might not be your strongest pick, they see it as a comfort pick and as such will remove it. And they do remove 3 out of the 5 champions that KT played to victory last time around. Now they're going to have to cook up something different if they want to take down MVP in a swift fashion.
Orianna ban. They're really respecting Ian's Orianna today. That's the second time.
Thresh is up. You might see that pick. Max has an affinity for these hooking champions. And I completely forgot. We forgot.
Zach is up. We totally missed that. That's going to be a definite pick here for MVP. Yeah, nice stroll. Urgot. He looks kind of like Zach. I'm sorry, team. Yeah, Zach the obvious pick here, and I cannot believe that KT let that slip.
However, KT have the option of putting the pedal to the metal early game with their composition. Thresh is going to be the lock away for them, and they still have the junglers that can influence the early game tremendously. You have Lee Sin and Elise, who are no strangers to snowballing games out of control. And if Zach just doesn't get going, and if he doesn't get the right vision to get those elastic slingshots off, then he's going to have a difficult time finding ways to influence his lanes. And KT recognized this as Zach's weaknesses. They take away the Elise, and
you know what's also? Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
No. I didn't see the Cinder ban. I was like, what the hell? Everything's getting through, like Zach, Thresh, Elise, and then I thought that also Cinder was available. I was like, what the hell happened?
I should have not said go ahead.
Yeah. Should have said no.
Kalista does get denied. We have seen Deft and Mata carry real hard with these 2 picks in combination, but the Braum and Kalista make for a mean duo lane, and when you have Zach paired, this is a much different for MVP, so I'm hopeful for their draft against KT, and if they can weather the storm early game, and they are saving their solo lanes for their last rotation, they can have an easier time for the early game. So I think that Talia might be the pick that we can expect to come out of Pawn, perhaps, in the second half as the first rotation. Ooh. And saving the counter pick for Smeb.
Kog'Maw picked up here for Deft with 0 seconds left. So that'll be a pick that we really don't see all too often. Even though over at MSI there was a lot of these hypercarry ADCs that we're seeing some play.
And it's a fun pick against Kalista because Kalista wants to dance around and shots, whereas Kog'Maw just sits there, presses his Bio-Arcane Barrage and stands and delivers. And Kalista is not going to be able to 1v1 Kog'Maw on even items, especially since Kog'Maw will most likely be going for those Ninja Tabis, which are just going to be so obnoxious to deal with when it comes to taking him down with your physical autos.
Yeah, so speaking of a pick that is still available, that is usually highly contested, Kennen also still available, not banned, not picked by either team. Definitely a Smeb favorite, shown it a bunch. Will it get banned out here? They are going to show some respect to ADD, both Jarvan and Sejuani taken away.
No beefy tank lines available. They have to resort to something else, forcing Max to, or ADD to maybe play a carry in the top side. And if KT saves the last ban for Smeb, as we expect them to do so, it can open up an exploitable window into the top side when you have Elise plus a physical top laner. Renekton is one of the huge divers that combos incredibly well with Elise in taking down nearly any champion into the top half.
We'll see if they actually are serious about taking this cannon. There it is, the lock-in, as it did escape the ban phase. Actually, MVP choosing to ban out the Jace, which, you know, usually a pretty good pick against the cannon, so MVP kind of shooting themselves in the foot with
Well,
that.
it could be a flex pick for pawn as well, so it does have a lot of synergy with the KT team. It works well into cannon, as you're mentioning, and I like the Jace ban. It does offer a lot of defensive tools when it comes down to getting away from Kalista, from the Fate's Call. And
what's their answer, though, in the top lane?
For the cannon?
Yeah.
Maybe the Kled. It did get hovered in. It does make some sense. We have seen it come to some success, and we're going to get a treat.
Oh, here we go.
We're going to get a treat.
All right, pat on the back for ADD. He is back with this Scion.
And I'm just so glad we get to see this man take down the Scion. Only 2 people in the world really try to take this pick, and ADD is one of them. The Scion did receive some minor buffs, and we have seen ADD lane against Kennen before. And Kennen is, you'd expect him to be a huge lane bully into the Scion, but now that there's the Doran shield available, now that his itemization becomes so easy, Ninja Tabis, or if Smeb feels like he's going to be going with AP, which is incredibly unlikely considering that there's such a magic-heavy lineup from KT, and Cog does have a lot of AP. You can expect his Blade of the Ruined King to not have such a huge effect onto the Scion. His beefiness is nothing to scoff at, and ADD, his Scion to watch. His ability to drift around Summoner's Rift is impressive to say the least, and when you have 2 immobile carries in Victor and Kog'Maw, we can expect some serious ultimates happening.
Yeah, very excited for this game. This is definitely going to look different from what we've been seeing a lot tonight, which is...
Let's not jump the gun.
Yeah.
We can't see a stomp still.
Yeah, it could happen, but I do like the picks. You know, the Kog'Maw Thresh coming in. We get to see Kalista. Get to see stuff that you don't often see here in LCK because it gets banned out all the time, such as the 2 junglers, Elise and Zach, coming through. 1 apiece for each of these teams.
Zach has a 100% win rate on the 1 game that he did slip through. However, it was BBQ that let it go through, a team that is sitting at the bottom of the standings. So maybe other teams have started to figure out how to play around this champion, and KT will be taking it to their comfort pick seemingly, as all these players have had some success in these picks in the past.
Really want to see what they've got prepared up against the Zac. They do have a lot of power picks themselves. You guys can see, once again, the final lineups from both of these teams. And let's do it. Let's jump into game number 2 right now. KT up against MVP. There you go. Game 2 is now beginning.
He's flying.
He's flying with his jetpack. Okay. He got tired. The jetpack, I mean.
There's a lot of gasoline spent in that one to bring around Scion.
How much mile per gallon do you think a Scion gets?
MPG, as much as the worst Hummer you could imagine.
I wonder how heavy Scion is. Is he as heavy as a Hummer?
It's got to be multiple tons. I think there was some sort of measurement where they're giving away the measurements of league champions, and
yeah.
I believe Nautilus and Malphite were the tallest.
The tallest?
At a lot, maybe Nautilus was like 14 meters tall.
14 meters?
Yeah, for you feet users, it's 42 feet-ish.
How is that even possible?
It's
It's not represented in the game.
Yeah, it's not represented in the game, of course. I mean, Annie is, in a way, the same size as many other picks, and she's got to be like 4 feet
Not really.
tall.
Well, isn't she
Rammus
like 6?
Is like,
yeah, I guess.
This feels too close to mathematics. Let's get away from it.
Look at the solo blue out of score there.
And look at what Smeb did. He aggroed that red buff to fake that he was leashing, that he was tanking for score. So the route has been faked from KT, but what information will MVP read out of this? Are they going to expect Elise to route to the bottom side and not finish top side? And this could mean that if ADD misreads the situation, that he gets overextended and will be susceptible to a gank.
Maha's going in. He not very scared. They're looking to line up that stun on Tamada.
With pings onto the red buff, both junglers will finish topside, and ADD is not playing very aggressively, but pings go into the blue buff, so they immediately read out the route from Elise. So the early fake no longer works from a good move from Ian, taking advantage of it, the Talia pushing power and rotating to scout out the jungler.
Yeah, good move there, not assuming anything. And seeing the red come up at that timing, they know that she started at the blue, can easily map.
Well, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
There you go.
Because it spells assume.
Yeah, I got that one, Crumbs. I figured it out.
He missed the cannon minion.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. We saw, I don't know who said it, I just saw someone post on Twitter about how people over in China are also talking about how this Doran Shield has opened up so many new picks into the current meta in League of Legends competitively. Kog'Maw definitely having an easier time early game. Picks like Sion up top against Kennen will obviously have a much easier laning phase.
Here comes Majin Buu.
Oh boy. Yep, there it is, that OPQ, and Pawn is forced to flash.
Yeah, such a frustrating ability to deal with, because before Zac would miss his Elastic Slingshot, which most Zacs would miss that ability as it's not the easiest to hit, especially early on. But now he misses and has an extra like 900 range to CC you, so it doesn't even matter if it connects.
Ooh, nice stun there onto ADD. Getting a little bit, taking a bit of a chance, I could say, against that stun was ADD.
Now we can expect Beyond to look for a revisit into the mid lane, now that Pawn has no summoner, so him goes for the CDR boots early on, and that's going to keep him safe in the mid lane, as Ghost and Flash will be coming back up. We can expect a gank bottom lane.
Oh, there's that hook into Cocoon. This might just be a dead max early on. The Flash coming out. That's first blood given to Deft on the Kog'Maw. Beyond coming back here and trying to help out, but just a little bit too late on that one.
And if we get another look at the replay, I believe Max actually misplayed that escape. Might have been able to force some extra summoners out of KT by using his dash first, then the flash. As when he flashed backwards, not able to find the target to dash to. And here comes another gank.
We'll see if they can make this happen. No flash onto Pawn, and there's the Gravitic Field coming down. That's an easy lineup, and that's just what Zac offers you at this point in the game.
All too easy, and the new Zac just becomes a ganking monster as he can follow up so easily, and they still have a timer on Pawn's cooldown, as he did not purchase the boots before his flash went down, so he still has to sit through that 4.5 minute cooldown, or 5 minute cooldown for mid laners, as he most likely did not go with a cooldown reduction on his summoners.
Just a bit of trading down here. You can see that the CS is definitely competitive. It looks like Deft is slightly behind, but picking that kill up and the wave that he has coming in, he'll be just fine.
You're always okay with scaling on Zac, and here's another attempt onto the mid lane. This is going to be a level 3 Elastic Slingshot, unlike the first attempt, so he can stand a little bit further. Alicia's not going to be able to respond, but look at how far back Pawn's playing.
He's not even close. He knows he needs that flash, and this time some smart play out of Pawn will keep him safe for now.
And if that gank were to connect, the kill would not have it connected, but they would have had enough chunk to force potions out and maybe even a recall or a dive on a revisit.
ADD's back. You can see the biggest CS discrepancy is up in top. It looks like Smeb is doing a pretty good job of stunning ADD whenever he goes for that big knock-up to clear up the minions. Trying to freeze the wave now and even delay the back of Smeb. Be somewhat successful.
And this is just what happens when you play into this matchup. You try until you get some decent itemization, until you can farm, sustain yourself from the harass with your, oh, pardon me, damage reduction, and catch back up. We've seen ADD take this matchup before change came through, and he was able to do just fine, and we can expect him to do that once again. Here's another attempt. Oh, no.
Oh, pawn. Oh, he actually juked, maybe, you know, not on purpose, but kind of juked beyond.
You do get to see the shadow lying on the floor, so I think he is expecting to get camped as his flash is still down until that window is back up. He is going to have to play as far back as we have seen him.
Deft getting in there, making sure he takes out that ward. He's actually ahead of Maha in terms of farm down here once he clears up those 2 minions.
Is he fancying a visit into the mid lane? Could just be some wards. Yeah, it's just going to be a control ward and nothing more. And it's always so obnoxious when you're dealing with a top laner that is warding deep inside the jungle. The wards are often more effective than wards that are just for the lane, as it can help out the entire team and lets you map out the route that Elise is taking.
Good fight breaking out down here. Deft thinking about taking that one, but no lineup for the death sentence of Mata.
You can see the way that MVP is playing this lane now. They're doing it smart. They're recognizing where the Bio-Arcane Barrage comes up. Nice chunk.
I was surprised that Scorer was just standing still there, almost waiting for it. Trying to be captured rather, by Beyond. And they're looking for that kill. Should be able to line it up, but the passive comes through. They cannot follow up. Just one extra piece of Zach. When you think you got him, you don't actually got him.
Just a slight miscalculation from Beyond there. Trying to pick up Score, so it was a great attempt from Ian, edging the wall, knowing that he was out of sight, and just barely gets to shove on him. Chunks him out, but unfortunately the channel onto Score was a little too early, and here he goes again. Watch him just move ever so slightly, gets in range. Here comes Zach. And while he does not get the shot, such a nice into that.
Oh, that's so close.
Waits out the repel. He did have a ward target onto the control ward on the left side, so he chooses not to take it. Simply waits out the Zach ultimate channel.
Meanwhile, we did have a gank down here in bot. Kalista forced to blow the flash ultimate to save Max.
And yeah, they just have to wait out the Bio-Arcane Barrage, otherwise you cannot trade with the Kog'Maw. And that's how you play around this champion. One of the few ADs that you really need to consider the cooldowns that he's bringing to the table. Otherwise, it's impossible to match his DPS. The percent HP and enhanced range make it difficult for Kalista to trade with.
See that ADD up and top is actually caught up quite significantly in terms of the CS. Not too far behind. Definitely very competitive when you're going up against a cannon. Not many picks can be that close in terms of farm against this pick.
It's only going to get easier from him. Stacking armor, and if Elise is to visit this lane, the HP and tankiness of Sion on top of his ultimate make it not a suboptimal gank for a target. Gank target.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mata hanging around mid. Now that the bot lane of Max and Maha went home, immediately Mata starts moving around for a gank, for a bit of a roam into the mid lane.
In the slow early game from Score, pings go onto the Herald, so he will try to solo out this objective as he can do so easily, but on a ill time, as Max and Maha end up swapping to the top side, and they might be able to scout him out. However, the roam from Pawn and from Mata and Deft signal that they are here to defend this objective, and pings go out now. There might be a fight for this objective soon.
Can be lanterned out. Oh, Deft with the dodge. There's that lantern. They get the death sentence onto Beyond, and it looks like he will go down this time around. Teleport force to be canceled by ADD. That's a nice kill pickup for KT.
No passive around for Zach means he gets caught and killed, but Herald does de-leash, so they are unable to transfer the objective. And this, oh, here it comes. It's following them again. Who started this one? Hey, you can't do that to me. You need to finish what you started.
Yeah, you need to take me with you. I want to join the fun in the lanes.
Poor Herald, just always left behind.
Not always. Sometimes they take her.
Yeah, and then they just use her poorly.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
See how
someday they'll treat her right.
Here. There are no wards for Smeb to know this. All they know is that Talia has left the lane.
This should be a pretty easy setup, but Smeb does have his flash. Oh, that's going to miss. And, yep, easy flash for Smeb. At least they do blow that summoner.
But it is something.
Looking for a kill here onto Mata, who actually is able to play his way to the victory. Will follow up with the death sentence onto Braum, who's extremely tanky. Nice stun onto Maha with that gravitic field. He is going to be taken out. And a nice play by Pawn to open up that kill, and he wants more onto Max. With the exhaust coming out, will not be able to get it. Another dodge against the Zac. And I don't think this is beyond misplaying it. I think KT is just so aware of the Zac, and they're always waiting for that.
It's a little bit of both. Zac is not the easiest champion to play, believe it or not, considering how banned he's been recently. So you can't expect any Zac that you see now to be the most refined at this champion. However, the boot purchase from Pawn does make it a lot easier for him to dodge out. And they try to go into Mata, but the play is just so on point, and there's just no chance. Fighting a 4-on-3 now as Kog'Maw is collapsing from the top side of the map. And even if Kog'Maw weren't there, they blow everything, all the CC, and no damage follow-up means that no matter what would have happened in the remaining fight, they would have lost it.
Oh, ADD might have overstepped his boundary. Trying to trade back here to Smeb, as you said, with the Ninja Tabby. And the Bomby Cinder is going to be very tanky, so does not die, but has to burn a splash.
And this all has just been MVP trying to do too much at the same time. When Talia committed to the gank into the bottom side, that should have been it. They should have reset. Let's not try to make anything happen into the top side. We don't have any pressure into the mid lane, and so Pawn will be roaming first. But instead, they get greedy. They see the opportunity with Mata seemingly sitting duck in their eyes. They pull the trigger in. They quickly realize that they have overreached and get collapsed on and end up giving away too many kills and a Herald.
Yeah, so KT, they're definitely ahead in this game as well. It's not as much of a stomp as we saw in game number 1, which kind of got out of hand right from the get-go. But KT definitely with a strong grip on this one. We'll see where they want to put that Rift Herald, as we do still have the mid-tier 1 turret. That's been the main focus of most Rift Herald pushes so far.
And MVP this time around have the late game potential of a great wombo. You have Zac, Sion, Fate's Call into Glacial Fissure, and comboed with Kalista and Kaya that just do so much. It can be, ooh, nice block.
Nice block there, but the Cocoon misses. Will they have enough damage output onto ADD? Looks like it will be enough. As you said, lots of armor and health built on ADD, not too much MR. And going up against those two, well, you're not going to have a good time.
Sion getting a little bit greedier as he's catching up in CS against Smeb. KT just doesn't allow it. They're trying to keep putting pressure onto this map. And they might be fancying an engage here. You know they're going to commit to maybe some damage when this Herald crashes. Mata scouting out Zac, but remember, Zac's engage, while the Q is effective if he misses his elastic slingshot, you have to consider that Thresh is one of the strongest picks against Zac. Every time that his jump is about to land, Flay interrupts it. So he'll never have a chance.
Oh, can't take the Lantern. Nice play there, though, by Score to escape. So Smeb looking to take this, but we got Weaver's Wall coming up.
Zac will actually never be able to get an engage on.
Yeah, as long as Mata's on point, perhaps. Smeb looks like he will trade his life. Might feel slightly violated at the same time as all 4 of them come down to take his life.
Just abusing the mouse rat. Mouse rat?
Mouse rat?
Well, he's kind of both, isn't he?
I guess. Isn't he a Yordle? What is a Yordle?
Yordles rats?
I suppose. I'm not too big on the lore of League of Legends. So.
Oh yeah, without Weaver's Wall.
Okay, Beyond forced to ultimate away to safety. And oh, nothing is going right for this MVP team. ADD gets caught. Maha in a really bad position. Nice moves there. Jukes from the Victor from Pawn. He's trying to trade 1-for-1, but actually he is the one that was stuck in with them.
Good outplay from Maha, and now they're thinking about taking this tier 1 to the mid lane. There is no wave clear, so MVP will walk away with the tier 1 dropping first for them. So it's a good advantage onto them, and what was an attempt onto the bottom lane that was hindered by the ultimate missing, and we're going to take another look here. I'm pretty sure he used his charge and just headbutted the turret as Def flashed away.
How does Score die to this? Really?
He did?
Yeah, he did. He tried to flash away too.
The zombies, they'll get you.
Then we got to see Smeb's big play there at the end. Lightning rush into the brush.
Getting rhythmical. Now the next objective is going to be the side lane outer turrets for MVP, and if they can keep trading objectives, they're going to put themselves in a better position in this game as opposed to trying to stall out. The wave clear is already there with Talia, so as long as she remains in the mid lane, they don't have too much to worry about.
ADD versus Smeb. Eventually, Smeb will just become too much to handle. Would have to imagine. But we might see ADD go for that Gargoyle Stone Plate. A favorite of some of these big engage
Oh, you know
champs.
He's going for it. With a champion that has infinite health scaling in Scion Soul Furnace, it's the perfect itemization.
Good follow-up to that nerfed Sunfire Cape, which is still pretty decent. Oh, Ian.
There's a TP coming out. Ooh, this could be on deck.
Okay, ADD is alone. He's very tanky, though. And look at Def down in the bottom lane. He's trying to trade, but he will be taken out. Pawn trying to trade back some damage, but will be forced to walk away. And that's going to be a nice catch there by Team MVP to take out Deft.
They commit to Deft, but what else can they get out of this? There is nowhere for them to lay vision to transition into anything meaningful, and Pawn's wave clear is easy to do as Braum isn't there to clear out with the laser.
Some rotations over here towards Baron. Lots of pings going down. And here's Smeb running into 3 members. Does have the Lantern. Will stun up a bump to the members. There's the hook onto Maha. That's what they were looking for. Mata rather, showing up big on this Thresh pick. Nice stun there onto Beyond too, to not allow any follow-up.
And the second Kalista gets hooked, there is no chance for them to win this fight. As soon as the gravity field got laid down, you know that's a zone where they want to be looking to CC somebody even further. Once again, however, it's only kills and no real objective. The blue buff does spawn, and they're perhaps thinking about this tier 1. Will Talia end this by themselves? There is a slingshot that he can commit. Here's Elise.
Miss Cocoon. We got Max over here too on the Braum. And oh man, Deft in a lot of trouble, is trying to trade back on Ian. Can he get that kill? It looks like he will actually. Score able to follow up for that. Nice capture there by Beyond, but there's no one to follow up.
The catcher into the concussive blows or the Winter's Bite really saves that play. Otherwise, Deft would have lived, and that would have been awful for MVP. They still save down this turret, and that will keep them competitive in this game as the lead continues to grow for KT. There's always mid lane turret. Yeah. Such an important objective.
Those minions, they were trying their hardest. Let's see this once again. Deft is just eating too much damage in the front all alone.
Gets so greedy.
You can see Mata goes down here too, and everybody groups up for this one. Zach dies in midair.
Oh, that was so close to being a disaster.
KT, they're still in a good spot. Still pretty happy with where they're at.
They are, and they're going to be even happier if they can secure this Mountain Dragon that's coming up in 1 minute. The Mountain Dragon will mean that between Kog'Maw and Elise, Baron rushing becomes a real threat that MVP has to consider all the time now as the lead continues to grow. And Red Side's vision denial around Baron and ability to rush it is always a threat.
Especially if they could get Smeb in there too. Probably unlikely because he should be split pushing, but double Blade of the Rune King.
Well, he will be topside at least while they prepare for this Dragon side. Mata does base, refreshes his ward, picks up 2 control wards, and the vision games begin around this Dragon. Both these teams really want to have this one in their bag. Smeb secures the Scuttle Crab. And taking down Scuttle Crab early on will mean that they can transition into a Baron. If they win a fight, they can just abandon the Dragon right away, move over to the main objective, a move that we've seen time and time again from KT.
MVP, they're in the mid lane. They're trying to push this one in before they go for it, as is always very necessary. You have to control the lanes first for the objectives. You can see Deft is forced to go to mid lane, pick up that farm, and MVP is going to get position here on this Drake.
He is split, but the Scuttle Crab did get secured by KT. They have decent wards for teleport, so a fight is in order.
Okay, the wall is going to come out and Score is all alone. And it looks like KT is not confident enough to actually go for that. Nice zoning by Ian on the Talia. Gives the Mountain Drake over to MVP.
But they commit to a trade. Smeb, I think he's going to be able to secure this one. He can probably tank ADD for a little bit. Doesn't plan on risking it. Enough chunk means that one more attempt at this turret will knock it down. So in a way, they're paying for the dividends for this tier 2.
Oh, they're looking for the knock up here on Mata. They do get it. The follow-up with the Zac, and even with the flash away, Mata cannot get away. And now Smeb is all alone, trying to kill this Zac, and finally they're able to. Pawn by himself, zoning out so many members, a double kill. Meanwhile, ADD trying to do what Paul was doing, not quite as fed.
And what did Mata do to MVP that they keep blowing everything for the support? It just doesn't make any sense. They keep going for this pick, and he's going to run them around the rosy. Pawn is going to be able to just pick this one up with a laser. There it is. And are they going to rotate to Baron now? That Scuttle Crab attempt, the pings are going down. Smeb does have teleport. Could it be a little too much if they go for this one?
Well, you got ADD down for a while. Beyond, though, did just respawn. It's going to be pretty close. I think they just want to clear out some of the vision, perhaps, as Deft is still in the mid lane.
I'm just perplexed at MVP's decision to blow their major engage cooldowns onto Mata. A no damage threat. You know you don't have enough to pop him and turn right away, but they do so 3 times already, and they pay dearly every time. This is not the champion you want to engage on. There is a Victor and Kog'Maw that, because they blew everything to engage on, Deft was so comfortable in that fight, he flashed forward to try to kill Mata.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a replay of this fight, too. As you said, pretty much everything on Mata here.
Bates call, elastic slingshot, pretty much every Zac cooldown. And look at that. He flashes in to get into the fight because there's just no chance they're going to lose this one. And Talia isn't even there.
Yeah,
Weaver's Wall not accessible. The collapse is too quick from KT, and so focused on kills for seemingly no reason for MVP.
So ADD was actually forced to blow his ultimate down in bottom lane, was getting scared of Smeb. Pawn is pretty confident at this point. We've seen his Victor in the past has been pretty good.
Against the Rocks Tigers. And the Victor against Kalista means that all he has to do, throw down a Chaos Storm, and until she starts getting some magic resistance, she can't enter the fight. It's the Victor that can one-shot her in a matter of seconds, and until she gets to that point, the fights that MVP have to take have to be kiting back. Their engage, unless KT clumps up beautifully, are nothing but a pipe dream.
What is I mean, MVP is going to be relying perhaps on some members of KT2 to make a mistake. If they could pop pawn, you know, you were talking about how they're spending everything on Tamada, but if one of those squishy members of KT gets out of position, that would definitely be a nice catch.
Pretty much anyone that's not Mata. Mata is not the guy you want to be prioritizing in any of these fights.
Oh, that ward lives. I hate when that happens.
There's a time where Soraka's in the bottom lane who would have attack speed runes in order to get the 2 auto attacks while your AD gets 1 in and you can kill out wards. Those were the days at League of Legends that I truly loved, where innovation seemingly was in love with creativity, and now we just have Doran shields and gargoyle stone plates for everybody.
And Galio.
The same rune page every single time. Back in my day.
Yeah. Now you can just play Lucian if you want to kill wards.
When I play Lucian, I play the Crystal Method Lucian intro, a 1-hour loop non-stop. If I had Lucian glasses, such as the ones that Blade wears, I'd have them too. And MVP, they're rushing this Baron down. He does get scouted out. Pings go down. They're going to have to turn.
Okay. They do have the Mountain Drake, so they are burning it down quite fast. But Score is here. Max in a pretty good position. The Weaver's Wall helping out too. And there will be the Baron. But here comes KT. They're looking for an engage. There is, oh man, they get Maha too. This gigantic, the Chaos Storm, and he goes down. Score here looking for a pick too. Mata all alone is just going 1v4, looking for pick after pick. They need to get some more kills. Oh man, great job there by Def to follow that up. And looks like they will just get 2 kills on MVP's way out.
A smart move from MVP to use the Weaver's Wall to prevent anybody from coming into the pit. They have the rent to secure the Baron, but what seemed like a huge outplay from MVP gets salvaged by Mata with a hook onto the Kalista that
savaged too.
Salvagely savaged.
it was really savage for sure.
He's just not having a good time, and now he's finally buying magic resistance. He's probably going to turn that into a QSS. Doesn't want to get hooked again. Doesn't want to get hit by either a gravity field or that cocoon.
Even against the Baron, Smeb will take top tier 2. Just abusing the death timers and position of MVP.
And in that fight, Maha just died over the wall.
Yeah.
He just
it was the perfect hook. It was fantastic.
Let's see. Straight into laser.
Chaos Storm.
Hog ultimate.
Yeah.
And just another tick of Chaos Storm. That's all it took. Short range AD carries against long range mages. Always a tough time.
Never had a chance. MVP picked up another Mountain Drake in live. So that's pretty ridiculous at this point. They're definitely going to have a really nice push with double Mountain Drake and the Baron.
It's still promising for them. Score does have Banshee, so he feels safer getting close enough to get some harass off.
Smeb with red buff. Kennen at this point with red buff is just so annoying.
And with the Phantom Dancer means that 1v1ing him is nearly impossible. Ian will commit to a Weaver as well to try to pick him off, but he's just so slippery between the movement speed items that he's bought, the extra burst from the Blade of the Rune King, and his electrical surge or lightning rush. There's a reason why Kennen is such a heavily banned champion.
Yeah. We've still got about a minute left on this Baron, and all MVP really did was push bot tier 1 and chase a Kennen. So, to be fair, they were cleaning up a lot. KT with the 2 kills was able to push it in a bit.
They did get that dragon as well.
That is true.
And unfortunately, while you would want them to go for this tier 1 top, at this stage in the game, committing to a top lane push is suboptimal. It's not the greatest position, as KT can just always answer with pushing back into the mid lane, and you're so far away to be able to respond that oftentimes you don't see this objective being heavily contested, and they have no problem giving this up. They're moving to place themselves ready to collapse if need be. There is no teleport on Kennen, but he is making his way through the lane.
Yeah, they were looking for the collapse, but I think they've decided against it. Score gonna... They're blocking it with wards. Score, I think he should still be able to get out of this one. Can jump to the blasting plant. And it's no hook. Nice sidestep there from ADD.
A good attempt at KT, punishing what could have been a mistake from MVP. Now they have to really worry about Kog'Maw. That's an Infinity Edge completed onto him, and the carries have no real way of dealing with this guy standing, pressing his W, and just melting down members.
It's going to be pretty gross damage, and not just the Kog'Maw, but completed Void Staff on this Victor that's extremely fed. Not to mention just the supporting damage from Score and Smeb.
And the supporting damage from Smeb goes far beyond just DPS. He has that Wit's End, which does lower the magic resistance for the members that it procs on. He has the Hurricane to ensure that it does a little bit more than that. And when you have every member of KT dealing magic damage, that truly counts as an amplifying tool that can melt down tanks faster than they expected.
Yep, definitely a good choice by him to take that down.
I'm pretty sure with that he can actually 1v2 Talia and Sion at the same time, as long as he doesn't get CC'd to death.
Wouldn't it be nice if Smeb on the Kennen had the double Mountain Drake? We saw that out of Marin one time, and then Afrika never got to play Kennen ever again.
That was last split, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that game.
It was so ridiculous. It was just the Marin Kennen show.
Yeah, as Marin versus the world, you're like, oh, I guess Marin is the face of this team now.
You can see how carefully Smeb is playing it. He's never really all-inning ADD. He doesn't have any vision in the red side jungle. Looking for some now.
Well, he doesn't have to go as aggressively as you'd imagine. He's 2 levels up. He's almost 100 CS up on Sion already, and his only real danger is if Kalista ends up showing up in this lane. He has so much magic resistance, and between Phantom Dancers, his resistances on his abilities, and Flash, he can feel confident as long as Kalista is on the map. And if you watch the minimap, he moves up only when Kalista does show, and it makes sense. So he's looking at the minimap constantly, something that everybody should. As the best player in the world, Faker looks at the map every 3 seconds, and it makes you wonder that maybe having a lazy eye would be the best way to play League of Legends, so you can keep one eye on the map and one eye on the game.
The next Faker, perhaps.
Half man, half chameleon.
KT, they've done this before where they just set up a bunch of control wards around Baron when it's about to spawn, and they're like daring the enemy team to just check. Kalista will definitely help out with checking some of those brushes. Little ghost thing, I don't know what it's called.
Sentinels.
Okay.
There's a TP on Smeb, however this Baron is going down fast, and he can collapse onto this. He's just getting ready to stop ADD from a possible teleport onto this.
This just feels like the boat is sinking, and every time they try to bucket water out, a new hole appears. They try to fill that hole, and 2 more. I mean, Smeb's pushing in. ADD on the Sion is getting to a point where he can't really fight back alone. And now they're going to try to collapse on the Smeb. This might be successful, as basically everyone is coming down here. But immediately you can see Smeb is trying to fight back for so long. How long is he going to survive? Look at top lane in the meantime. Doesn't matter that Smeb died.
Unnecessary to send 5 people, but at least they get something out of it. So MDP don't walk away empty-handed, but a horrendous trade as they lose Baron and an inhibitor for only Kennen. Oh, he's by himself.
Oh no. Oh, good knock up there from Max. He's even got a flash box, and I mean, he's all alone. I think he should have just accepted his fate.
They just hate Mata.
Even Pawn, man. See you back at the base.
It's all about killing Mata for them. But at what cost? probably the worst cost you could imagine. These are two of the worst trades so far. They're going to be able to just burn this one down so quickly.
Ian can't even do any damage to it. Death, though, does get knocked up here by ADD. Really trying to follow up, and you can see what Deft is trying to do. Meanwhile, on the left side, Pawn is going to be able to trade. He takes out Maha, even with Max nearby, and I think Pawn might just be able to turn on this if ADD's not there.
Welcome to Kalista against Victor, and now the Braum does help in stopping that laser damage.
Here comes Smeb. Oh boy, the flash laser, there it is. And everybody from MVP is routed on the run. ADD, hope he's not scared of spiders. He was able to take out one earlier, but that will be him going down as Pawn very confidently steps up to this mid-tier 2.
Between Lichbane, Baron, Infernal, the list goes on. He's capable of taking down turrets in a heartbeat, and without any reservations onto this, he just solos out Kalista off screen, and she just never stood a chance against this guy. With only one magic resistance item against the Void Staff, Luden's completed onto the Victor. I really want to see the replay and just see how quickly did Maha out, because it seemed like the fight just wasn't really close.
I mean, he had Max there with him. Braum was trying to help the Kalista, but he still died.
I hope that the replay does show that and doesn't show us Death getting bounce housed. And that's what we should have expected from MVP, targeting the Kog'Maw from an early stage with as much CC as possible. Let's see, here's Maha, here's Victor.
Yeah, okay.
And yep, not even close.
Just didn't see him in the brush. Not respecting that could happen. And oh, just retargeting that Chaos Storm, just pops him with the Q auto.
He wanted to get the stun off since Pawn doesn't have cleanse, but walking back into Chaos Storm is not a good idea.
I've heard that before. I definitely heard some smart pro gamers telling me that before.
Avoid damage. Apply CC.
Don't die.
Well, not dying is more valuable than getting kills.
Sure. Tell that to my solo queue teammates, man.
Well, I don't speak Korean.
You could try.
I know words that aren't suitable for broadcast.
I taught you a good one. Pabo. You call them idiots.
I don't want to get disco nude.
Well, we got all 3 inhibitors down in the Baron. This hasn't been the most close games or competitive games that we've seen in League of Legends tonight. These were 2 mega stomps.
And I want to add to the itemization from Deft here. He went with the rapid fire cannon. Oh.
Well, Smeb, he wants to get an extra death before he dies, but he has GA, so it doesn't matter. Just playing with their food at this point. As Deft, he's going to end the game, take out that Nexus. That's a 2-0 for KT in very old-style KT fashion.
And that rapid-fire cannon just means that they can take down Maha as quickly as possible. If Maha's out, the chances of MVP winning a fight go to 0. And because of the long range that we saw Victor displaying, taking down the Kalista over the wall, now you combo Kog'Maw that can also apply that first crit, that one hit to make sure that he can do his fair share in taking down Kalista. It means that she just never stood a chance when it came down to these team fights.
Yep, MVP seemed so confident picking that Kalista, but KT knew exactly what the Kryptonite was. And they made it look pretty easy. There were some moments where MVP looked kind of okay, but
the thing is, this was the MVP that we saw against Samsung. They had a decent draft. He understood what the composition tried to do, but their engages were overzealous, were just erratic. It never made sense. Disjointed, using everything onto the support. Nice. This is when they're trying to go on the kill onto Smash.
Well, it's not on screen,
but yeah, but
Maha actually bounced Ian back away, made it harder for him to get there on time, but it's kind of funny.
Their engages just are so not clean that the other team can always respond with a counter engage and seemingly walk away. And MVP, their biggest hurdle is themselves right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think going up against 2 really strong teams like Samsung and KT will be a big hit to your morale, but they got to just bring it back together and be the same MVP from last split. that was able to make playoffs.
Yeah, it could be a big hit to their morale, but they're a team that have playoffs in mind. They were the 4th place team last time around. They have the potential, at least on paper, when you see the results of last split, to, hey, could they maybe even sneak into Worlds through Gauntlet, through maybe even playoffs, through a miracle run? There is that chance, and they need to sharpen up their play real quick if they want to have a chance of doing this, because these other teams are ramping up even faster.
By the way, we're getting a lot of screen time here for Beyond on the Zac. He actually looks really depressed on his play. He made Zac this. Again, it wasn't him alone. It was team MVP. But on Zac, this 100% ban champion, except for once, this was the 2nd time, and it got totally dominated by KT. So shout outs to KT for dealing with this very supposedly OP pick right now.
Thresh is a great answer to him, as well as Thresh being quite powerful against him, being able to not only interrupt his jump with his pillar, but take away a lot of the resistances. And I think that might be a pick that we could see making a resurgence, considering that against a Gargoyle, Stoneplate, stacking champions that are just so common now, the resistances that he can get are immense.
Would like to see that. Used to play a lot of Trundle. Not too much anymore. Look at the damage of Victor, though. That's such a crazy discrepancy in the mid lane. Over 20,000 damage more by Pawn on the Victor.
He was against 2 super beefy tanks, so his damage stats are a little bit enhanced. However, the Victor bug has been spreading. Crown before the one guy that had it, and now Pawn's caught it too.
Yeah. So guys, we're going to jump over to that interview right now. Let's see.
So this is your translator, Jisun, and we have Smap here for the interview. So you said you want to make a revenge of the last season to MVP. So are you satisfied from today's victory? Yeah, I'm really happy that we won the game. But at the same time, our performance was really good, so that makes me feel more satisfied. In the recent games, there's a lot of lane swaps. Is there any special strategies? Yeah, because of the Rift Herald, they're really important. So we're trying to make more laning swap, and also in the Rocks match, we kind of like couldn't cope with their lane swap really well, so we're trying to use it by ourselves. And any guesses for today's MVP? It's kind of tricky, but I think Pawn did really well. So I think he'll be the MVP for the game too.
Well, guys, we are going to check out that MVP for Game 2. Let's see who it is. It was Pawn on the Victor. 88% kill contribution and tons of damage.
Victor, a.k.a. tons of damage.
Pretty much. He summed it up quite well. He's got lasers and cool lightning
technology.
Things. Yeah. I feel like he's staring into my soul.
What's he saying?
Well, either way, we have to go right back to the interview. Let's hear
from
from
So the second MVP is the Pawn. This combination is kind of familiar, right? So Smap made a guess on you as MVP and he got it right. I died in the lane at the first time, but I think Def played really well, so we could win the whole match. But after Def died, and then I kept on dealing, and we won the team fight, so I knew that I'm gonna be the MVP. So every time you pick and play Victor, is there any special your own tips or know-how? I think Victors are the 2 OP champions with Orianna, as you just grow in your lane. We can make a lot of damage. And Smap said he thinks he played quite well, and he shouldn't really die in the laning phase, but he did quite well. And he wants to thank him for being a good player. Well, Zack made too many ganks on the mid lane, so I think I kind of like did pretty well, making only 1 death. So you guys really didn't ban Zack. Is there any like strategy to fight against Zack? I think Thresh is really good to use against Zack, and he believed in Mada to make hooks on Zack, so I think we kind of cope with it really well. So upcoming match is versus Jinair, and if you beat them, you're gonna be in the upper ranks about 2nd place. Are you satisfied? Are you confident? I think our performance is really good, so we're kind of confident, but also at the same time, Jinair is really in a good mood right now, so we hope we prepare really well and get a victory. And last message for your fans with a big smile. So we're having matches with on the 1st place and the 2nd place, so I really want to win all the matches and get to the 1st place. So your fans are going to have great Monday with the KT's victory. So last message for your fans. We're working on it really hard. So we're going to prepare harder and harder for the next matches. And we always appreciate your love and support. And you two guys have great chemistry. Do you guys agree with me? I just think that Smeb and I are getting the MVP points, so. And this was the end of the interview. Thank you for listening.
So there you have it. You guys heard from Smeb and Pawn. Jisun helping out with the translation. And there you have it. They're going up against Jinair and I guess Samsung soon, as they said, 1st and 2nd place coming up soon. So lots of hard matches for KT coming up.
Starting to ramp up, however. The result all that matters, and as their play continues to improve, so does their opposition. As you heard them taking on the Jinair Green Wings, which were able to take down Longzhu Gaming, which gave SKT a huge run for their money. So that matchup tomorrow is going to be one I do not want to miss. So wherever you are in the world, you stay up, you sneak your phone in the classroom, you go to the bathroom, you watch, you tell your parents to take away the parental controls on your television. This one matters.
Yeah, definitely check out some of those games that we got coming up. A lot of the teams up on top. This is beginning to look a little bit more normal, except Jinair up at 2nd is kind of weird, but they've been playing so well nowadays. I'm really excited to see what they can do up against some of the stronger teams as well.
Jinair, the one team that made its way from the bottom, now they're here. Now they're ready to fight the Glad Plane, and it's one of the teams that I'm most hopeful for casting, considering that it's a new addition to possibly the upper echelons of the LCK, and it's always interesting to see them, as no matter who they face, you'll always give them the underdog chip, and who doesn't love a good underdog story?
It'll be cool to see them coming back and, you know, actually performing well. I'm curious to see if Longzhu also can bounce back after their loss against Jinair, because they still have a lot of these superstar players. If they can get all of them to play every single game instead of, you know, having to take a back seat, well, that would definitely help them out.
Well, you'd have to imagine that they put all their preparation into SKT. One of the most important matches. If they would have been able to take down SKT, that would have been massive for them. And it's understandable that they get caught by surprise from a Jinair team that was a little bit underestimated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're coming back. Jinair, they're flying the Glad Plane, as you said, and some other teams that are in the middle. Afrika is up there, and then under that is like Ever8, Rocks, and BBQ. You got some of those teams
don't
on there.
even get me started on Afrika.
I think MVP is also at like 1 and 3 right now,
yes,
so struggling a bit. Not the same MVP, but either way, guys, that's going to do it for us here on the cast. Hope you guys enjoyed it once again. We are going to see you on Tuesday for more matches then, so we'll see you then. Good night.